The educational materials presented here were developed by students and faculty of the Department of Food Science and Human Nutrition at Iowa State University. Funding for this project was provided by grants from the American Cancer Society Midwest and the Lance Armstrong Foundation. The materials are intended for educational use and are not meant to provide medical advice. We welcome your feedback about these materials. Please use the evaluation survey link on the homepage to provide your comments and suggestions. You're probably aware that the emphasis that has been placed on reducing fats in your diet, but let's talk about why some fat is necessary. We will explore which fats you should limit and which fats you should focus on getting into your diet. Fats are an essential part of every diet. Fats not only yield energy, but they are also necessary for the absorption of certain vitamins, for the production of hormones, and fats also play a role in protecting vital organs. Whereas carbohydrates and protein each provide 4 calories per gram, fats provide a bit more energy and yield 9 calories for each gram of fat. Therefore, diets containing high amounts of fat are also considered to be calorie dense. Saturated fats are typically found as solids at room temperature. These fats are found in animal sources, especially in red meat and dairy products such as cheese and ice cream. Saturated fats are also found in some plant sources such as coconut oil and palm oil. For this reason, all oils should not be considered the same relative to their health effects. You probably have heard about polyunsaturated fats because of the emphasis on omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Polyunsaturated fats are liquid at room temperature and therefore include most vegetable oils such as soybean, corn, canola, and safflower oil. Also, nuts and seeds are a good source of polyunsaturated fats as well as fatty fish including salmon and herring. Polyunsaturated fats come in 2 main classes, omega-6 and omega-3. These terms are derived from their chemical structures, but also their biological functions. These fats are essential because humans cannot modify the double bond structure which give these fats their conformation. Therefore, they must be consumed in the diet. Over the past 50 years, Americans have increased consumption of omega-6 fats from vegetable oils, which have been suggested to contribute to some chronic disease risk. At the same time, consumption of omega-3 fats have decreased. The omega-3 fats come mainly from fish, but recently plant sources are becoming increasingly available, such as canola oil and flaxseed. Omega-3 fats generally reduce the risk of chronic diseases. Omega-3, also known as linolenic acid, is converted in the body to EPA and DHA. These acids are known to have anti-inflammatory effects in the body and are also involved in brain function and development. Omega-3 is found in flaxseed and canola oils, walnut, salmon, and cod. Omega-6, or linoleic acids, is converted to arachidonic acid in the body and plays a role in immune function. Contrary to omega-3, omega-6 demonstrates a pro-inflammatory effect, and thus a balance between the two keeps the body in order. As mentioned earlier, omega-6 fatty acids are quite prevalent in the American diet, as they are found in corn oil, soybean oil, peanut oil, eggs, and dairy products, whereas omega-3 foods are not as commonly consumed, and a conscious decision to add these to a diet is usually necessary. One other group of unsaturated fats, which are generalized as the good fats, are the monounsaturated fats. Monounsaturated fats are found in plants such as nuts and seeds and various oils including flaxseed, olive, and canola oil. Avocados contain monounsaturated fatty acids as well. These fats came to prominence in nutrition when it was recognized that people in the Mediterranean cultures consumed high-fat diets but did not have high rates of heart disease. It was concluded that their diets were high in monounsaturated fats, which may have provided some protection. Research has shown that monounsaturated fats are more beneficial than polyunsaturated fats, but total fat intake is also important to keep in balance. Substituting monounsaturated fats for some polyunsaturated fats in the diet may be useful to reduce the risk of heart disease. You may have heard about trans fats in the news as well. Some cities, for instance, have passed laws to completely eliminate the use of fats containing trans fats in the public eating place. In addition, the USDA now requires trans fats to be listed on the nutrition facts label. Trans fats are not naturally occurring, but come about from a process called hydrogenation, where the double bonds in polyunsaturated fats are converted to single bonds. In this process, some of the remaining double bonds are converted to unnatural trans orientation. Manufacturers have used hydrogenation to make fats solid, such as shortening and margarine, that were usually vegetable oils because it was thought that they would be more healthful than solid animal fats, such as lard and butter. Unfortunately, we now know that trans fats increases the risk of heart disease. The good news is that food processing has been modified so that the undesirable trans fats are not generated in the hydrogenation process any longer, and most food products are being made with different processes to avoid the trans fats. One needs to use caution when reading food labels, however. If you see a label claiming 0 grams of trans fat, you may want to take a closer look at the ingredients list. If the product contains less than 0.5 grams of trans fat per serving, the label can legally claim that it contains 0 grams of trans fat. If the ingredient lists partially hydrogenated vegetable oils or hydrogenated vegetable oils, there is a chance that it will contain some trace amounts of trans fat, and if you consume multiple servings of that particular food, you may still be getting a fair amount of trans fat in your diet. The greatest dietary contributors of trans fats are foods such as cakes, cookies, crackers, and pies that are made with hydrogenated vegetable fats. New labeling laws require that trans fats be listed on the Nutrition Facts panel have forced these companies to change their formulations in an effort to reduce trans fats. Animal products naturally contain a small amount of trans fat, which also contributes to the consumption of these fats in the American diet. It is recommended that you limit foods that contain trans fat for a healthy diet. Now that you know which fats should be the focus of your diet, it's quite simple to make small adjustments in your diet to improve your fat intake profile. For instance, choosing lean cuts of meat will reduce saturated fat intake. Fish and poultry are both great alternatives to red meat, and in choosing fish, you will also be getting some of the important omega-3 fats. Likewise, using a small amount of oil in place of butter or margarine can offer a healthier fat source. When using oils, it's important to use a variety, as the fat composition of each one is different. Because of the high caloric density of fats and the evidence that diets high in fat increase risk of chronic disease, it is generally wise to keep fat intake within a healthy range. A diet that contains 30% of calories from fat is thought to be best for the general population, but those at risk of heart disease may try to reduce fat intake to 20%. It is very important not to totally eliminate fat from the diet, especially for children and teens, because fat has an important role with brain, muscle, and bone development. Athletes should also maintain adequate fat intake for energy and tissue repair. There is much confusion about good fats and bad fats, but a general rule is to sparingly use a variety of fats to ensure